Executive Director for Veterans Benefits with Paralyzed Veterans of America, Mr. Ronald Abrams, Joint Executive Director of the National Veterans Legal Service Program, and Mr. Zach Hearn, Deputy Director for Claims with the American Legion. We appreciate all your attendance today. Your complete and written statement will be entered into the hearing record. Mr. Gillums, you are now recognized for 5 minutes for your testimony.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Runyon, Ranking Member Titus, members of the subcommittee, on behalf of Paralyzed Veterans of America, I want to thank you for this opportunity to discuss complex claims, a topic that is near and dear to veterans like me and those who represent at PVA. Complex claims by their nature involve those cases that require the most experienced eyes and minds to properly adjudicate. These can be the oldest claims in the inventory, claims with multiple issues, or those presenting the most complicated circumstances to unravel, such as military sexual trauma, PTS, and catastrophic disability. Since membership in PVA is predicated on catastrophic disability, that will be my focus. PVA service officers have honed a unique expertise in developing and advancing the most complex claims in the system, where special monthly compensation, or SMC claims, are often the exception. For most accredited representatives, they are fairly common for PVA, so we appreciate this long overdue focus on complex claims. The Veterans Benefits Administration has made tremendous strides in reducing the backlog since launching the 21st Century Transformation Initiatives. But as we said during our June 2012 testimony, complex claims remain problematic because disability benefits questionnaires, evaluation builders, and rules-based calculators too often oversimplify cases that require critical thinking and inductive reasoning, not algorithms, to adjudicate with true accuracy. So any accuracy numbers achieved through the use of these processes are qualified by context as it relates to complex claims. The problem is defining accuracy in these cases often lies in the eye of the beholder. If by accuracy, VA means the veteran receives maximum entitlement, then accuracy targets remain unmet. VA contextualizes accuracy to mean if the rater inputs a given data set, such as the boxes checked on a DBQ or C&P exam results, and follows the rules-based prompts, the decision will be free of error based on its algorithmic construction. The problem is disability evaluation builders do not encourage the application of judgment-based principles like reasonable doubt, or guide rating specialists through ambiguities in the evidence, like reconciling the difference between total loss of bladder control versus neurogenic bladder sphincter in someone with a spinal cord dysfunction. And this is where we have issues with the way complex claims are adjudicated under a rules-based system. A veteran with severe disability may receive an accurate SMC rating under VA's definition based on limited evidence and binary rules, but not the most accurate rating possible that reflects the true extent of disability or need. And I'll give you a case in point that deals with the terrible condition that PVA sees all too often, ALS or Lou Gehrig's disease, a fatal motor neuron disease that does not slow down for the painstaking protocols that VA must follow. Since the passage of the presumptive rule on ALS open entitlement to veterans and survivors, PVA has worked over 6,200 ALS claims, which has made our field staff well familiar with these complex cases and extremely staunch in our insistence that they are timely and accurately adjudicated. So you can imagine my reaction when I heard about a veteran in San Diego who received notice that he needed to submit to a compensation and pension exam to prove his need for skilled care despite presenting competent medical evidence of such need from his treating physician. VA has a prerogative to call claimants in for exams pursuant to a claim, but this prerogative has become one of those intractable rules that we criticize. The problem is this veteran was in hospice, so he could not submit to an exam. The VA rater, an experienced lane coach, was bound by the quality-driven rule that C&P exams are mandatory, even though he had enough evidence to grant this R2 claim and the regulatory discretion to do so under Title 38, which states any hospital or exam report from a government or private entity may be accepted for rating a claim without further examination. The HA directive on acceptable clinical evidence also allows VA examiners to supplement the review of claims files with a telephone interview, if necessary, with the claimant in order to complete a DBQ. But neither option was exercised here. The words hospice and skilled care noted in the medical records simply triggered the requirement to order a C&P exam in the name of quality, instead of serving as prima facie evidence of imminent death, thus substantiating the need for regular skilled care. Common sense will give way to a calculator, which is supposed to be a decision support tool, not replacement for one's reasoning faculties. To make this point, I offer an analogy. 3 plus 2 always equals 5, and if every disability claim were based on metrics like decibel level or percentage of range of motion, a high degree of accuracy would be achievable under the current system. But these complex claims are like adding two irrational numbers, pi, 3.14, so on and so forth, plus the square root of 2, to arrive at an outcome that cannot be precisely summed with a calculator. In that same vein, these claims call for an informed, qualitative analysis to find the most accurate, albeit imprecise answer. That answer was never found in the San Diego case, as the claim ultimately died when the veteran finally succumbed to his ALS. This was a missed opportunity to do the right thing. Unfortunately, this is not an isolated case. We see VA regional office staff across the country pointing to the same rules to justify taking unnecessary steps in similar cases. And I can point to one in Nashville for Ms. McDonald, who's going to follow this panel. She's the regional office director who will testify. And, of course, in New Jersey, Mr. Chairman, I also have a case for you if you're interested. We understand the dilemma VA faces under pressure to reduce the backlog while achieving timeliness and accuracy targets. But every aspect of this problem is not a numbers game. In the case of complex claims, as we define them, there are no shortcuts to doing them right. They require experienced minds that are free to apply common sense and pro-veteran legal principles like reasonable doubt or foregoing C&P exams when existing evidence is satisfactory in a qualitative deliberation of claims with no black and white answers. As I said earlier, accuracy is not about how well VA raters adhere to a set of protocols to arrive at an ostensibly logical outcome, notwithstanding obvious blind spots in the process. Accuracy is measured by whether VA has provided the maximum benefit possible in these complex claims with imprecise answers that do not lend themselves well to binary propositions and calculators. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member Titus, and members of the committee, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Thank you, Mr. Gillums. With that, I'll recognize